Jeremy Hans, what's up, friend? How are you?
Hey, buddy. Good. Good to see you.
I
Glad
like
we
I
do
like
this.
that. It's a good looking helicopter in the background.
I don't know. Maybe seen those before.
I've seen those before. It's been a while though. It's been a while.
Been a while. Also, Stu may have actually taught me as one of my instructors how to fly these. So, small world.
I'm looking back, like on my Navy days. I think that was my favorite tour. Like being an instructor. Like it was so fun.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
so fun. Well, thanks for jumping on with me. Do a little Military Investor Network member spotlight. We've been hanging out in lots of Zoom rooms together for quite some time. Seen each other in
Yep.
person a few times. We should probably see each other more.
Yep.
From the same area, the great state of Texas. And
Yep.
yeah, man, lots of lessons learned from you. Lots of business ideas. Lots of good idea fairies. All kinds of stuff. But
So nice way of saying it.
yeah. Well, for the audience, give us a little bit of background about who you are and what you did and now what you do.
Yeah. So, Jeremy Hands. I'm now here in Plano, Texas. Originally from this area. I graduated high school in Allen, just a suburb north of Dallas. Um, I was, I guess, given like a leftover scholarship, I like to say, for a Navy ROTC. So I actually got my scholarship after I had graduated high school in the summer before I was going to Oklahoma. So I'm
Oh,
pretty sure
nice.
like they had a few left over for the middle class, white bread boys like me. And so went to the University of Oklahoma and graduated there and commissioned. Was very fortunate to get selected for aviation. I will say though, aviation was like not a passion at the time. It was just like it seemed like a better deal than sitting on a boat or sitting in a submarine,
Which is
uh,
very true.
which is very true. Went to flight school in 2007. Flight school was tough for me, man. Like I got airsick the entire time. I was not a natural stick. It was not something that was like a dream or a passion. Surrounded by people where it was like a dream or passion, made it really tough. But got the helicopters, which is what I wanted the whole time, and life got a lot better. And so I ended up going to HSC, flying the MH-60 Sierra you see behind me, out in San Diego. Stu was one of the instructors actually when I was learning to fly those at HSC 3, and then did a tour at HSC 8 and multiple deployments to the Middle East on a big aircraft carrier. My wife tells me how awesome San Diego is. I don't know because I was gone for like most of the time. The Navy, in their infinite wisdom, decided to move me back to Pensacola to be an instructor at the HTs. I was not happy about that when I got there. In fact, I'd done everything I could to like get a number one, which I got for my squadron. I just wanted to stay in San Diego, go put a knife in my teeth, right? Go kill bad guys. That didn't happen. Instead, I got to go hang out with 22-year-olds for the next 10 years. So what was supposed to be a 2.5 year tour ended up being almost 11 years I spent in Pensacola. And so I'm still a reservist, but no longer actively flying. And today I am full-time focused on buying a business here in Dallas. I still have a commercial real estate company, about $80 million assets under management, that primarily owns RV parks all over the Southeast. Um, and then previously was a CEO of a company that builds high-end classic cars and trucks, which I hope will be going through a transaction, selling to private equity here in the next week and a half or so.
Nice, man. I didn't know you were still in the reserves.
Yeah, it's VTU though.
Oh,
I mean, this is like World War
okay.
IV reserves. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
give me about 2 more years, can retire. And I did do on active duty. I did 10 years, and then kind of an interesting story. There's my last tour or on active duty was supposed to be in Bahrain. About 4 weeks before I was supposed to move, the CO came in and said, "Hey, we don't have the bodies for instructors next year. Would you be willing to stay if we could pull your orders?" And I said, "Yes." I mean, I had like a 2 week old baby. I had no desire to like go live in Bahrain by myself. My wife and kid were going to move back to Texas. Um, and so that happened, which was awesome. And so I then got to spend the next, 2 years plus in Pensacola, continue building up the real estate business. And then I got hired by two different airlines. I was supposed to show up for training at the end of 2017. And the week that I left active duty, I got a call saying, "Hey, would you come back on active orders as a reservist for a couple months?" And that turned into being almost 4.5 years on me on active orders. Ended up
Wow.
buying the new helicopter, being on the team for the replacement for the TH-57. So super weird career. And at the same time, I'm working like double time the entire time. I'm in the Navy on real estate, but like just been like super blessed the whole time.
Yeah, you you showed up to San Diego at an interesting time in the real estate market.
Yeah.
And kind of knowing your story a little bit, had a good timing, so to speak, as far
Listen,
as,
timing is relative, right?
yeah.
So let me tell the story of San Diego. So let's go back though. So 2007, I graduate. Um, my parents have been able to help me out for the most part. So I didn't really have any debt coming out, had a car. I got a mattress for like graduation or whatever. Like, so like I had everything I needed, right?
Huge. Yeah.
But I decided that I was a smart guy and that I knew all these guys that had gotten the career starter loans from USA, Navy Federal for the last few years. And they'd invest them in the stock market. They'd all, bought Mercedes or brand new trucks and like double their money. So I decided, why get one when you get two? And so I figured out if I applied on for both scholarship or sorry, both loans on the same day, the credit pulls wouldn't be seen, and I could have two allotments going to both banks, and I could keep both loans. So I did that, and so I got $55,000 as a 22-year-old to go and do whatever the hell I wanted with, and I
Oh,
didn't need the
dang.
and I didn't need the money, right? So I invested all of that money in late 2007, early 2008 in individual stocks. And had some of the worst timing ever and turned $55,000 of borrowed money into $0 over the next 12 months.
Oh,
And
jeez.
that's really what kicked me off to be like, man, I'm an idiot. I'm getting beat by billionaires who hire millionaires to come after me, like not even a thousandaire, right? Like a negative thousandaire. I got to figure out a better source, right? I got to figure out a better plan. And so that led me, this is pre bigger pockets. This is pre like internet talking about how to do commercial real estate or anything else. But I found a book at the library called Investing in Duplexes, Triplexes, and Quads. And so when I
Hmm.
moved to San Diego, I was like, man, I need to buy a multi-unit with a commercial loan or with a residential loan. I'll live in one, rent out the others. It seemed like no brainer. And it took me like 12 months to find it. But then, yeah, I ended up buying at the absolute bottom of the San Diego market. A great deal. In fact, there were multiple backup offers that were larger than mine. Um, man, just super blessed. And so I lived in a little fourplex there. And I mean, just probably the best deal I'll ever do.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I bought in San Diego in 2005, at the height of the market,
Yep.
with a buddy, and we did the house hack thing. We rented out all the rooms and had a dude literally like sleeping on a mattress in the basement slash garage. That and it was a wild
Yeah.
animal house. Um, but yeah, I mean, we kept it for like 12 years. No, was it 12 years? Yeah, we kept it for not 12 years, but I guess it was almost 10.
Wow.
And yeah, saw the rise. We thought we were geniuses, right? Like buying this, yeah, like San Diego market's been booming, like over 15%, rate like every year. And nope, 2008, 2007, man, just crashed. And so,
Yeah.
anyways, I bought it the worst time. You bought probably the best time.
Yes.
And it's only a couple
Yes.
years difference, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, I say all the time, right? You got to swing the bat to be able to hit any balls, but
That's right.
you're not guaranteed that you're not going to strike out sometimes too, right? Like you
Yeah.
just got to keep swinging, right? Like that was kind of my mentality. And after having that pretty big loss, and by the way, that's like $1,000 a month loan payment on top of already not making a ton of money.
Yeah.
Man, it taught me to like live pretty tight. My wife and I got married right in that time. Took her about a year to get a job. And so we paid off that loan. She got a job and we bought the house all within about a 2 month period. And like my cash flow position went from like, man, I'm hurting to like, man, I'm doing good. Oh, and I picked up lieutenant, made 03. And so my pay
Yeah.
jumped too pretty significantly percentage wise. So it was a lot of stuff happening there very shortly, but just keep swinging. So that's kind of
Yeah.
been my
No,
mentality since then.
I love that, man. I love that. Well, so you did the San Diego time, you went to Pensacola, you started getting a little bit more into real estate and investing and kind of started getting into the commercial space. Like talk about, what the transition out of the military to like the reserve side and talk
Yep.
about like why more real estate? Why did you kind of get into that world?
Well, listen, I got again super blessed, right? You started buying commercial real estate in 2013, 2014. You look really smart. We found out a
Yeah.
decade
Yeah.
plus later. And so got to Pensacola. I bought the fourplex in San Diego. By the time I got to Pensacola, I mean, even with expenses and everything else, I was making an extra 15, 1,800 bucks a month. I was like, I should just do this again. Well, Pensacola doesn't have, cool fourplexes in cool neighborhoods, or at least not very many that were viable. And so I was like, I got to pivot. And I'd spent a ton of time on deployment reading, and I knew that real estate was probably going to be a portion of my future. I thought it'd be just kind of a side gig or whatever. And so I decided that mobile home parks looked like a pretty good opportunity because at the time, I'm kidding. I'm not kidding when I say there's maybe two books out there on mobile home parks. And so I
Yeah.
decided anytime I said mobile home park, somebody would go like this, they'd scrunch their nose. And I call it the crease. Every time I saw the crease, I was like, I'm going to get 1% more in my cap rate because nobody else wants to deal with this stuff.
Yeah.
And so when I got to I got to Pensacola and I realized I couldn't buy a fourplex, I swapped over to getting some education and trying to buy mobile home parks. And so found one, put an offer in on it. Somebody gave me a phone number of another guy who was an instructor. So I called this guy. I come to find out, like he lives a block from me. He's an instructor on the North Field flying T6s. He's the oldest of four. We go to the same church. We're in the same Sunday school class, and he's making an offer on the same mobile home park the next day. And I was like, I just remember on that phone. I remember sitting in the hallway of the office I was in, and I was like, well, dude, like, don't offer more than me. Like, let's just like figure out the price and not like run it up on each other, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and that's ended up being a long-term partnership. And so I met Bob Preston, who's been my partner in real estate on and off for, I mean, almost 15 years, or what are we now, 12 years now.
Yeah.
And so we started buying just kind of some small commercial deals, just ourselves. I bought a 6 unit apartment complex just by myself. He was doing some stuff also. And then slowly but surely, we raised money for our first syndication in like 2014, 2015. And again, right, you just got to keep swinging the bat. The guy died 2 days before we closed. And so we ended up losing that deal, lost a ton of money, had to give all the money back to the investors. And we're like, this is terrible. But we're also like, dude, we just got like a bunch of people to give us money. Like, we could probably just do this again, right? Like, we were dumb enough to just try it again. And so, while that was actually still in the probate process, we went did our first official syndication, which was a small office building. Uh, that one succeeded above and beyond anything we could have expected. A 5 year plan was executed in about 16 months. And so, at that point, I was like addicted. Like, once you learn that commercial real estate, like every input that you make affects the valuation because you're based not on comps but on NOI. You're like, well, I just got to fix the NOI, right? And so it became a game for us, really. Like, how can we go buy this stuff? And so, it was really nights and weekends kind of thing. And, I'd work kind of 6 a.m. to 2 at the Navy, flying, teaching guys how to fly helicopters. And then I'd get home, work out, eat dinner, and stay up till 10 or 11 at night, man, just crunching on the real estate stuff. And did that for, really probably 2015 through 2016 or 2020, 2021. So,
Yeah.
yeah, just put in the work.
How did the military life, lessons from the military, how did that help you in the real estate world?
The thing I say over and over again is the self-selection, especially of naval aviation, makes you work around people who are exceptional, right? And
Mm,
so I don't think I realized that when I first got into the Navy. And like the average guy in my squadron at the HTs or even HSC that we thought was terrible, right? Like the worst pilot, like the guy that we were like, oh, we hate him, right? He's terrible, is still so massively more successful in life and everything else, right, than most everybody else in the real world. The normalization of excellence and of like a capacity to do things, I think was really, really helpful. And so, like, listen, we're throwing the keys to multi-million-dollar helicopters to 25-year-olds, right? We're
yeah.
having 24, 25, 26-year-olds run these like large divisions of, active war fighters ready to go, like, do God's bidding if necessary. Like that level of like, hey, you can just do stuff. Like, it's kind of what kind of came in my mind. I remember being on the aircraft carrier and being like, man, like our average age here has to be like 22, right? Like we have like one 50-year-old in charge of all of us, and then like everybody else is like way younger than that, right? And that was just kind of like an eye opening. Like, you can just do stuff, and so that kind of idea, I think, is really what then led me to say, hey, well, there's this great path in the Navy, but I also can just do this other stuff on the side. And I knew pretty early on that I didn't really want to be an active duty admiral, and that wasn't really going to be my focus. And you know, being so successful, I could come back to be my boss, and my boss's boss wasn't what I was looking for. And so I self-selected off the track. So I had some more time to kind of go focus on maybe some outside pursuits while still doing my job. So yeah.
Yeah, man, that's good. Did you when you decided to like get into real estate even more so and you realized you had to start raising money, like
Mhm.
where did you start? Like was it just like your buddies, your other Navy flight buddies? Is that where you started?
Yeah, so I remember I vividly remember sitting down with my wife into 2014, beginning of 2015. We had multiple conversations. And I said, real estate becomes real this year. And so one of the things is we then put yellow stickers on our car that says we buy houses with a phone number.
Nice.
Nothing could be more cringy than that, but also nothing like sets the stake for all of your friends and all of your coworkers to know, like, what are you doing, Jeremy? Right? Like what
Yeah.
like you got to be
That
pretty
brings
weird.
conversations, right?
Yeah, it gets a lot of conversations. And then, this is my thing. This is what I talk about. This is my focus, right? And so, just the natural conversations of what I'm doing, eventually people are like super interested and like, well, I want to know more, right? And so that combined with what I would say just kind of friends and family, and then really starting to go to some of these real estate clubs, right? So the local real estate clubs is really where we made a lot of names for ourselves. We were able to show some track record of success. We were putting together business plans and executing business plans. And people were like, well, I want to be a part of that, right? And so it became not as hard to raise money, especially this is, pre kind of everybody doing it. Having opportunities like that in a small town like Pensacola was unusual. And so I won't say it was easy, but it was definitely different than it would be today. And we were, again, like I was like 30 years old. Like, what the hell do I know?
Yeah.
but I had a good idea, I had a good plan, and I was seen as trustworthy enough to throw money at. So they did.
And so where did that lead you? Where are you now as far as, you said assets under management.
Yeah, so
What's that look like?
so Bob and I were like two individual entities for years. Um, he got extended in the Marine Corps when they kind of get some extensions for some aviators for a few years. So he was in that like active duty status through 2020. I ended up being on an active duty order set through the reserves for like 2021. But like 2019, we're like, dude, are we partners or are we just not going to be partners? Like everybody thinks we're twins, and we're like, Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he's a 6 4 Marine and I'm not. So you can guess who's who. And like, are we together or are we not? Right. So we had to have this conversation. So we decided to launch our business Climb Capital in 2020. Um, and the difference really was, we'd been buddies hanging out, and lived literally across the street from each other at times. But we started meeting weekly using EOS. And we went from Jeremy and Bob to Climb Capital to 500 units to employees within like 9 months because we
Mhm.
just all of a sudden kind of sat down and started doing the work. And so Climb was really a multifamily and mobile home park investment firm. And then when COVID kicked off, and by the end of the 2020, beginning of 21, we were so tired of like trying to provide good, safe, clean, and affordable places that people were destroying, and then also not paying our rent, and then also being like dicks to us. They're like, let's just do something else. Like we've got these two RV parks. We bought an RV park off of Facebook Marketplace of all places. It was crushing it. We're like, we'll just buy more of these, right? And so we shifted over to RV parks, destination RV parks in 2021, and have really put all of our focus on that since that time. That business was doing great. And then in 2021, we were pitching our services to a guy who'd reached out to us, a local business owner who wanted to invest in real estate and kind of just have us do the work. He'd fund it. And we were at his office. He just kept talking about how much he didn't like his partner right now. And the business was hard. He wanted to do something else. And that business was Velocity Restorations. And so we made the comment there, like, hey, we'd buy this place. Like, we had no idea what we're talking about. But he calls a couple weeks later, right? It took us about a year. And it was not the deal that we ever set out for. But at the end of the day, we did participate in the buyout of his co-founder. And in 22, Bob ended up taking over full time at Climb. I went and took over to help out at Velocity, and then 6 months later was planning to come back. Instead, I ended up taking over the CEO role at Velocity. Bob stayed at Climb, and then I exited Velocity a couple years ago and decided it was time to move back home. So I still have my ownership at Climb. I don't have any active roles there, um, but Bob's doing a great job. He's got a management company now that's doing also third party stuff and has really grown that business in the last couple of months, last year or two. Um, so I've got my ownership there. That is not a focus of mine at this point, but it's been awesome, and I did a lot of work up front. But now it's kind of waiting to sell stuff off there as we run through our funds, and then I'll probably re-attack commercial real estate here in Dallas in the next couple of years.
Love it,
So what
man.
am I doing now? I guess was the question.
Yeah.
My kids can't answer this either. They tell people I just go to lunch, which is not unfair. It's true. Um, but I've been blessed enough with real estate that I don't need to work. And so I'm not going to call myself retired. Um, but I'm looking for my next thing, and I'm being really picky about that. So I'm trying to buy a business. You can call me a searcher. I guess that's the official term, but I'm just a guy who's trying to buy a business in Dallas and figure out what I'm going to do for the next 40 years. So
It's good, man. And you're messing around with AI and building websites and all kinds of
yeah,
fun
I mean,
stuff
like
too.
for the last year, I mean, I've literally just had like talked to probably 300 businesses, made like 10 or 15 offers. None of those ended up working out, unfortunately. I got an airplane to fly around with some partners, and I play with AI tools. I mean, like, and hang out with my kids. Like, it's a great life. So no complaints.
That's good, man. Out of all these investments, out of all these businesses, what would you say is the best investment that you've made?
It's tough. I mean, being able to make money with no cash in the deal is probably like fundamentally like the best deal I've ever made, which we've done multiple times with some of our syndications early on when I ran out of cash. But man, that first house in California will forever be the deal that opened it up for me.
Yeah,
Remember, scared shitless, 23, 24, trying to close on that deal. And, thinking like, am I literally like just shooting myself in the foot right now? Like, am I going to be just broke? But that deal we sold 6 years later, we realized we were never moving back to San Diego, that the Navy didn't have that plan for us. And, we sold it for like 1.2 million. So
wow,
on a $25,000 original investment, I made like 500, 600 grand. Like it's
it's
tough to,
amazing.
and it cashed flow the whole time, and it opened up my eyes, and it started to kick me off into um, just commercial real estate in general. I refied it a couple of times, took some cash out, put it in syndications, and like I've just been able to like everything that I've built has really come from like that initial kind of capital that was created in that one deal. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, and you just had to go and do it. Go and try
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Take take a swing of the bat.
yeah.
That's good. What about the worst investment?
Um, we have a deal right now that we bought in late 21 in Mobile, Alabama, and it's actually a great deal. It's a cool old building, but buying, chasing the market when the market changes was our problem, right? And
Mm.
we had a business, we thought we were doing deals, we thought we had great relationships, and we did, and we were able to get a deal that was off market. We bought it at a great basis. It was $25,000 less than the deal down the street we just sold. But we bought that deal on a 3 year um, uh, adjustable note with a cap. And so like we knew we were good. Well, then insurance decided to reprice in the state of Alabama. And so our insurance went from 40 to $140,000 and killed all the value of that deal.
Wow.
And then you combine that with, Titan lending. We called every investor in October of 25 and said, you're going to lose this deal. Like we don't know
Mm.
what to do. There's no more money to throw at it. The deal operationally, there was no more, I couldn't put any more money in it to make more money because it was already at the top of the market, right? We were 100% full, had a waiting list. It was doing great. But the structure of the deal was just so poor uh, because of that kind of expired 3 year note that we just thought we were going to lose it. But we were able to actually find a group a couple weeks later where we've basically done a trade. So they've been able to rescue and basically use their balance sheet to get us a new loan. It's gone from non-recourse to recourse, which isn't great, but it is what it is. And then we've agreed to take on basically one of their problem properties. It's an RV park, take over the operations to get it back up to speed. So we basically did a trade of problem properties to solve it. So that deal, unfortunately, is I think we'll never hit any kind of pro forma. It'll be a very poor deal. I hope not to lose any money, but I can't guarantee that we're going to make anything that's going to be worthwhile. So by far my worst deal. And again, it
Yeah.
was just multifamily bought at the wrong time with too much leverage and too much hope and aspiration that just didn't work.
Mm. Well, at what point, I know there's quite a few operators right now in situations where it's just not going to work out, right? Like
Mhm.
loan terms have changed, they can't refinance. Like you said, insurance has changed, lots of things have changed, and they didn't plan for it. And like, at what point do you just cut bait, cut your loss, and move on? I mean, I know that's a hard question to answer. Like, I mean, I have a similar, like, I have a really bad, like, terrible RV park in Texas right now, and I've just been losing money on it for years.
Mhm.
And I know I can't sell it for probably even what I bought it for. Like, at what point do you just say, this isn't going to happen? Like, I could just continue to throw money into it, continue to lose money, but like, it might be better just to like wash your hands
Well,
clean and
you
start
know, for
over.
us, well, and, there's a difference between if you own it yourself and if you own it with investors, right? So we have like
Yeah.
fiduciary responsibility to our investors, and these are not like random dudes from New York who are rich, right? This is like my father-in-law and friends'
Yeah.
dads, right? Like
Yeah.
this is
Your
like,
buddies.
these are my buddies, right? And this deal probably more than any other deal we've ever done because this was not a deal we were trying to turn and burn. This is like, hey, this is a 10-year horizon. These are great properties in a great location. We just want to own these things, right? But we unfortunately had a bad setup, and so for us, it came down to at some point the burn to be able to keep the deal alive was getting to $20,000 to $30,000 a month. And then
Mm,
the need to refinance was going to cost us another 500,000 to $1 million. And we didn't feel at that point that we were continuing to chase bad money with good money. And that's a point we finally had to look ourselves in the mirror and say, hey, we floated this thing as long as we could, but there's no more float. Like we don't have the capital inside of Climb to be able to do this. We'd already done a capital call the year prior, hoping that rates would come down, we'd be able to refinance. So we couldn't go back to the investors. There was nobody had any intention. So to me, the answer is after you've literally done everything you possibly can before you give it up. But if you're not willing to fight, like what are you doing? Like
yeah.
you took people's money, like that's pretty serious. And so yeah, tough conversations. And the other thing I'd say too in that, like nobody ever wants to be surprised. Like deals go bad. Like if you are investing your dollars as equity into a deal, you want to participate in the upside of the deal. But by participating with equity, you are also participating in the downside. And so
Yeah.
nobody wants to hear that, but read your PPM. Like what goes up can go down, right? And so, being clear and not surprising people that when things are going bad, I think is a really important thing. Um, but yeah, I think the answer is you turn it in when there's literally no other options, but you better really check to make sure there's no other options. Cause like for us, I mean, we pulled the Hail Mary. So
Yeah.
sometimes
That's good,
sometimes
man.
good things happen.
Yeah. No, that's good. Um, you started pretty early
Yeah.
in life and career, getting into the real estate world. But if you were gonna go back and do it over again, would you do anything differently? What advice would you give, to your younger self, if you were able to?
You know, I think about this all the time. There's not much that I would necessarily change. Um, except for the fact that I had a really good early start, but I think the thing that I missed on was I knew I had a good deal, but I didn't double down enough, right? And
Mm,
so I should have. I mean, listen, Jeremy's doing good, but Jeremy's not an eight-figure net worth hanging out on his boat right now. And I could maybe should, right, at this point in my life, based on the things that I've done. And so if I could go back in time and tell a 23, 24-year-old Jeremy is like, hey, you think you got time? You don't. Like markets change,
mm,
go hard when you can, right? And so if I could go back, the thing I would have done is probably bought bigger deals and more deals much, much faster. 2015, 2016, 2017, may not have stayed in the Navy for those 4 years and just really doubled down when the opportunity was ripe. By 2020, 21, like the deals had kind of dried up. It didn't make sense anymore. Um, and I wish I would have, I was early on every wave that I caught, but I never surfed to the very top of them. Like maybe I should have, is really what it was.
but that, follow on to that, like looking back on that, that's easy to say and easy to see, but when you're
Yeah.
in it, like how do you actually know that, right? How do you know like, oh man, this is a good season. Like let's get after it. Like how would you know that?
I knew it enough to tell my wife in 2020, or sorry, 2017. I said, listen, I'm going to go take this Navy gig. This is probably going to cost me money. But the truth is, I can be old and rich and do real estate. I've got a very limited amount of time where I can continue flying helicopters in the Navy and doing the things that we do in flight school with a helicopter, where somebody pays me to do them. And I was like, I'm having fun. We have a good
Yeah.
life. I'm doing real estate on the side still. Yes, it's probably costing me money, but I'm willing to take that trade. And so I did take that trade. I knew I was taking that trade. And I knew at that time, my time applied to deals would have been much more valuable. But I also knew, like, you got to have a cool life too, right? And so it's not all just about money. And so, I made an active decision to not pursue entrepreneurship or real estate investing full time for a couple of years when I knew it was probably better financially, but maybe not better like lifestyle wise. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. No, it makes sense, man. Yeah. And I mean, that's an important decision too, right? Like,
Yeah.
again, it's not
When
all about the
we had
money.
young kids, I had full insurance the whole time. Like the stress level was a little bit lower. I was still making multiple six figures. I mean, I was making more money in real estate than I was making in the Navy. Nobody likes to hear this when you're my boss, but like when you come to tell me to do something and I'm a reservist on orders because they need me, right? Like, and you want me to do something I don't want to do, you have a real hard time telling me to do it because what are you gonna do? Fire me? Like, thank you. That would be very good for me, right? Like I was kind of untouchable, not in a mean way, but like I just had this mentality of like, I'm here because I want to help, but if I don't want to do something, like I'm not here to be like beat up on either, right? And so that was a really weird, what do you mean you're
Yeah.
not coming back? I'm like, I don't need to be here. Like, you want me here. I don't want to be here. Like, what's the deal, right? So it's that optionality that I think everybody wants. And I was able to have that for a few years. It was really cool. And I'll never kind of, I'll never be disappointed with what I did, right? Like
Yeah.
I literally as an '04 Navy reservist wrote the entire structure of the HT's entire kind of curriculum that in all likelihood, if it's like the last one, will probably last for 40 to 50 years.
Yeah.
Why are my fingerprints all over like naval aviation training for the next 40 years? I don't know, because I was in the right spot at the right time. But that's
That's
pretty cool.
cool.
Like that's like a legacy thing that I'll be proud of for a long time.
That's cool, man. Love it. Last question. Um, for this audience, for the people that are watching this, for the Military Investor Network, what would you ask of them? Or opposite, what advice would you give them? And feel free to, give a shout out to, plug whatever you're working on right now.
Plug what we're going. So I'm here in Dallas, and so I guess the thing that I would be asking for is I just like to connect, man. One of the things that I had a lot of success with is I was pretty early in the commercial real estate space as it kind of really heated up, and I was also one of the few military guys. And so knowing the other military guys doing the same stuff as me, I think is always valuable. We're not competing. There's enough deals for everybody that like let's just help each other out. And so if you're in the space of buying businesses, you're in the DFW market. I just want to know who you are. Like let's find a time to get on a call. Let's figure out a way to help each other. And if you're in this space, the other thing I'll tell you is like you have a skill set that is naturally probably stronger for entrepreneurship and investing and doing whatever the hell you want. Don't be scared, right? Don't play small. It's unfortunate, but like all the guys I hang out with seem to be like first or second generation immigrants. Like us middle class white bread boys, like we get so stuck on security that we forget like there's opportunity in this country that is absolutely achievable if you're just
Mm,
willing to do it. But you gotta be willing and take that step. So take the step, whatever that means for you, and go do something hard. It might pay off.
love it, man. How
Yeah.
do people get in touch with you? What's the easiest way?
You can find me on LinkedIn, find me on Facebook. You can find me at Jeremy at etlfund.com. And hopefully I'll be around the community too. So we'll drop in on
Awesome.
school.
Awesome, dude. Well, I'll put those links in the show notes. Appreciate your time. It's always fun to chat and hang out, and
Man,
yeah, I
I love
appreciate
it. Thanks so
everything.
much for putting this together too, Stu.
Likewise, dude. All right, good to see you, bud.
Peace.